Welcome to the Book Review Podcast.
Great to be diving in.
Today we're digging into The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. It's really positioned as a kind of operating system for success, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. It's less about finding some secret hack and more about, fundamental principles. Hardy was the publisher of Success magazine for years, so he's seen a lot.
Right. He draws on that experience. The core idea is that small, seemingly insignificant choices you make every single day, they compound.
Exactly. They add up over time, leading to, massive results, either good or bad.
So it's not about overnight transformation. It's about the steady grind, the consistent effort.
Precisely. He really emphasizes that there are no shortcuts. It's about getting back to basics, things we probably know but maybe don't always do.
Yeah, and he brings a lot of credibility, having interviewed so many high achievers, people like Richard Branson, even Lance Armstrong back in the day.
He's distilled insights from a wide range of successful people. It's not just his own theory, it's based on observing what actually works.
He talks about how tiny choices, almost invisible day to day, can steer your life in a completely different direction long term.
Yeah, like that analogy of a plane being just a couple of millimeters off course at the start.
Right. Over a long flight, that tiny deviation means landing somewhere totally different.
And that's how our lives work, apparently. Small positive steps take you somewhere great. Small negative ones, they drift you off course.
Okay, let's talk about that magic penny example. That really drives the point home, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's such a powerful illustration of compounding.
So the choice is $3 million cash right now.
Or a single penny that doubles in value every day for 31 days.
And initially, that $3 million looks like the obvious choice, right?
For sure. Yeah. After 5 days, the penny person only has 16 cents. You'd feel pretty smug with your millions.
Even after 20 days, it's only, about $5,000? Still seems tiny compared to $3 million.
Exactly. It's easy to dismiss. But then, the compounding really kicks in. Those last few days are explosive.
Right. Day 31 hits, and that one penny has become over $10 million.
Over $10.7 million, yeah. More than 3 times the initial cash offer.
It just perfectly shows how small, consistent growth leads to staggering results, but you need patience.
You really do. It highlights that long-term view, and he makes it relatable with the story of Brad, Scott, and Larry.
Yes, the 3 friends. Their paths diverge based on really minor daily choices over, about 2.5 years?
Yeah, around 31 months. It covers things like diet, exercise, personal growth, just everyday stuff.
So Scott makes these small, positive tweaks, cuts a few calories, walks a bit more, reads a little self-help.
While Brad does the opposite, indulges a bit more, watches more TV, complains a bit. Nothing drastic day to day.
And Larry just stays the same. Doesn't really change anything.
Pretty much. He's just coasting along.
And the outcome after those months is quite dramatic, isn't it?
It really is. Scott is thriving, healthier, happier in his marriage, doing better at work.
Whereas Brad, not so much. Overweight, unhappy, marriage is shaky.
Yeah. And Larry's just kind of stuck. Maybe a bit frustrated, but not really connecting it to his lack of change.
It shows the compound effect is always working, like gravity, whether you pay attention or not.
Absolutely. Those tiny choices are either building you up or tearing you down bit by bit, and it ripples out.
Like Brad's poor eating may be affecting his energy, then his work, then his relationship.
It's all interconnected, which leads straight into his point about taking 100% responsibility.
Right. He says you can't change things until you completely own your results, the good and the bad.
No blaming the boss or the economy or your coworkers. He argues that's giving away your power.
He shares that story about losing money with a business partner, doesn't he?
Yeah, and instead of just blaming the partner, he realized he was responsible for not doing his due diligence.
That shift from victim to owner is key, he says. Like his mentor Jim Rohn said.
The day you graduate from childhood to adulthood is the day you take full responsibility for your life. Powerful stuff.
So once you take responsibility, the next step is tracking.
Yes, becoming aware of your habits by tracking them. He talks about his accountant making him track every single penny.
For 30 days, right, just writing it all down.
And that simple act brought his unconscious spending habits into the light. It created awareness, which is the first step to control.
And he suggests doing this for any area you want to improve: food intake, exercise, time spent on certain activities.
Exactly. The act of measuring itself makes you mindful. Like Jim Rohn also said, what's simple to do is also simple not to do.
So the tracking isn't complicated, but doing it consistently is the key.
Right. And that awareness naturally starts to change behavior. Like tracking candy bars, just having to write it down makes you think twice.
Do I really want this? And often the answer becomes no.
And those saved calories or saved dollars, they compound. He even calculates the long-term cost of like a daily $4 coffee habit.
Oh yeah, over 20 years, especially with lost investment potential, it adds up to a shocking amount.
Tens of thousands of dollars just from one small daily habit.
Okay, but sticking with tracking and making changes requires motivation, right? That's where why power comes in.
Absolutely. Hardy argues your why, your deep-seated desires, your core values, your big goals, is more important than willpower.
You need a really compelling reason to stick with the small, sometimes tedious daily actions.
It has to be personal and powerful for you. It's what gets you through the tough times, the plateaus, the moments you want to quit.
He uses that analogy of walking a plank.
Yeah, if it's on the ground, you do it for $20. But if it's 100 feet up,
you need a much bigger reason, $1 million, or maybe saving someone you love on the other side.
Exactly. That's your why power. It overcomes the fear and difficulty.
And it's not just about what you want, is it? It can also be about what you don't want.
Right. Sometimes identifying an enemy, like a disease you want to avoid, or poverty, or proving doubters wrong, can be incredibly motivating.
Like fighting against something can fuel that determination just as much as striving towards something. What are your fights?
That internal drive then needs direction, which is where goal setting comes in.
You need clear targets. He says you tend to see and get what you look for.
It directs your focus. Like when you decide you want a certain type of car.
Suddenly you see it everywhere. Your brain is primed to notice it.
Exactly. Goals work the same way. They tune your awareness and guide your actions.
He tells that story about writing down the qualities of his ideal partner.
And focusing on becoming the kind of person who would attract that partner. And then meeting his wife, Georgia, who matched the description.
It shows how clarity and focus can shape your reality. It's quite something.
So you got your why, you've got your goals. Now it's about managing the habits themselves.
Becoming aware of the good ones and the bad ones. He suggests tracking the actions that lead to your results.
Like that executive he coached who discovered he was losing tons of time mindlessly consuming news.
Yeah, he wasn't even really aware of it until he tracked his time.
And just changing that one input freed up significant time for more productive things.
Hardy suggests focusing on adding good habits rather than just subtracting bad ones, right? Think addition, not subtraction.
Yes, it's often easier and more positive, like Montel Williams focusing on adding healthy foods, which naturally crowded out the unhealthy ones.
What positive habit could you add? That's a good question to ask.
And accountability is huge too. Sharing your goals, finding a success buddy.
Or even friendly competition, like that step contest at Sexy S magazine.
Right. Having someone or something keeping you on track makes a big difference.
And celebrating small wins along the way keeps the motivation up.
Definitely. Acknowledge the progress, however small.
Which brings us back to maybe the most crucial element, consistency.
The absolute linchpin. Hardy stresses this maybe more than anything else.
He uses that plane analogy, the one flying steady, even if slower, beats the faster one that keeps stopping.
Yeah, consistent pace wins the race.
Oh.
And the water pump metaphor, too.
Oh, right, the hand pump. You got to pump consistently for a while to get the water flowing.
Then it's easier to keep it going with regular pumps. But if you stop,
the water level drops, and you have to put in all that hard initial effort again.
Inconsistency kills momentum. His big mo.
So how do we maintain that consistency? Hardy talks about managing external influences.
Right. He focuses on three big ones: input, associations, and environment.
Okay, input first, like the dirty water versus clean water idea.
Exactly. Your mind is like a glass. Fill it with negativity news, gossip, fear.
And your outlook and results will reflect that.
But fill it with positive, inspiring, educational content, clean water, and that shapes a better reality. So guard your mind.
Be deliberate about what you consume. Makes sense. Then, associations.
The people you spend time with, Jim Rohn's famous quote. You're the average of the 5 people you associate with most.
Wow. So their attitudes, conversations, habits, they rub off on you.
Massively. So you need to evaluate. Maybe limit time with negative people. Definitely expand time with those who lift you up and challenge you positively.
That might involve some tough choices sometimes.
It can, but it's crucial for your growth. And finally, environment.
How does your physical surrounding impact things?
More than we realize, he argues. If your goal is health, don't keep junk food in the house. Simple, but effective.
Create a workspace free from distractions if you want to be productive.
Right. He even mentioned working near affluent areas, subtly raising his own ambitions when he was younger.
So curate your environment to support your goals. Don't tolerate negativity or mediocrity around you.
Set high standards for your space.
Okay. Towards the end, he talks about acceleration, pushing past limits.
Yeah, those moments where you go beyond what you thought you could do, and that's where exponential results can happen, like Lance Armstrong in that Tour de France mountain stage.
Pushing through pain and fatigue to gain a huge advantage.
Hardy calls them moments of truth. When you feel like hitting a wall, what do? That defines you.
He mentioned his own cold calling days. Pushing through resistance was where the real growth happened.
Exactly. Embracing that discomfort leads to breakthroughs.
And another way to accelerate is exceeding expectations.
Yes, doing more than is required. Like Oprah giving everyone in her audience a car.
Okay, that's a big example. But the principle applies everywhere.
Consistently delivering more than expected builds reputation and momentum.
Do the unexpected. He told that job candidate to fly across the country for an interview when others were just doing video calls.
That kind of boldness makes you stand out. Like the Invisible Children guys persistently trying to get Oprah's attention.
And that extra effort eventually paid off massively for their cause.
So it shows how going above and beyond can really accelerate things.
So wrapping it all up, the compound effect is really a blueprint, isn't it?
A very practical one. It's saying success isn't magic, it's math. It's the sum of small, smart choices over time.
Take responsibility, track your habits, know your why, manage your influences, push yourself.
And be incredibly consistent. That's the core message. The power is in your daily choices.
It's empowering because it puts the control back in your hands. No quick fixes, just solid principles.
Exactly. It's about applying simple things consistently. So the question becomes, what's the one small step you'll take today?
We've really just scratched the surface of the insights packed into Darren Hardy's The Compound Effect.
But hopefully, people see how those small daily decisions are the bedrock of their future.
That magic penny example. It just sticks with you, doesn't it? The power of that incremental growth.
It really does. And thinking about Brad, Scott, and Larry, how their small habits led to such different places, it's always working.
And that need for 100% responsibility and using tracking to become aware.
Yeah, like the accountant's advice. Tracking the pennies led to a financial awakening. What area of your life needs that kind of tracking?
We also hit on that why power, the deep motivation you need for consistency. What are your core values? What fights ignite you?
And setting those clear, compelling goals that act like magnets, pulling you forward.
Can't forget the influences, either the input, associations, environment, clean water, or dirty water for your mind.
Who are your 5 people? Are they lifting you? Even small tweaks to your surroundings matter.
And finally, that idea of acceleration, pushing through in those moments of truth.
And exceeding expectations, like Lance or Oprah did in their own ways, going the extra mile.
The compound effect really gives you a tangible plan. It's not about miracles, just consistent application of simple truths.
It all comes down to those small steps. So what small step will you take today to start compounding towards your success?
Thanks for listening to the Book Review Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a comment. See you next time.